I've long enjoyed playing racquetball. In recent years, I've enjoyed playing regularly with my friend Richard Young. We when we're not broken shoulders and wrists, we try to get out there at least once a week and play. Racquetball doesn't need a lot of equipment. You really just need a racket and some racquetballs and goggles. But when I went and bought the equipment to play, I just bought a racket because nobody likes to wear goggles. Goggles are frustrating to wear on the racquetball court. When you get hot and sweaty, which you get when you play racquetball, those goggles fog up or they slide down your face. When they fog up, you can't see. It does give you a good excuse for why you missed the shot, but they're frustrating because you can't see. And then between every rally, you're taking them off and you're wiping them. And so he nor I were wearing goggles for the longest time. Now, we knew why you're supposed to wear goggles. The racquetball, when it hits you, and it hits Richard more than it hits me, by the way, but when it hits you, it stings at best, and it will leave a whelp at worst. And of course, if that's on your back or your leg, that's one thing, but of course, if that were to hit your eye or your face, that's a whole nother thing, and it can do serious damage to your eye, the most severe of which is it can blind you. We were well aware of that, but we weren't afraid of that. And so we played for a long time without any goggles at all. That is until one day we were playing. Richard was serving, I was in the backcourt. He served, and I returned the serve pretty well with some ump behind it. And as I hit the ball, I turned my head to watch the trajectory of where the ball was going, and in that split second realized it was heading directly toward Richard. And he, in that moment, had turned his head to see how I was hitting the ball. And it went right to his eye. As soon as it hit him in the eye, he went straight down on the court. And the horror of what I thought had happened, just, you know how those things starts running through your head. But worse than that, have I blinded a friend of mine? Has his life been changed dramatically by this? And he laid on the floor with his face in his hands where I couldn't see his eyes or his face for what seemed like forever. Now the good news is, he eventually sat up. His eye was still in his head. Praise God for that. And he wore his face swole up and he was bruised. I told everybody that's what happens when you mess around with a pastor, right? But he looked terrible, but his eye was safe because it had hit him just below his eye, right down here, and his eye was safe. But do you know what we did next time we played? We went out and bought us some goggles. Oh, we wear those goggles. Ever since then, we wear those goggles religiously. In fact, when we're there playing and there's maybe some new or some novice players that are getting off the court or before we play or coming on the court after we play, and a lot of times they don't have goggles either, we're evangelists. We say, young men, you need to wear some goggles. And then we want to tell them a story. Let me tell you what we did to one another and how scared we were. And then we always tell them the worst case scenario. This is what this can do to you, and you need to wear goggles. Putting on the right equipment requires a correct understanding of the present dangers. If you don't think that racquetball can do any damage to your eye, then it's not worth the aggravation of foggy goggles. And you'll get in that court and you'll play with a ball that's whizzing by your head without any fear at all for what it can do to your eyes. If you don't have any understanding of the spiritual danger you are presently in, you will skip through life without any concern for this passage. Putting on the full armor of God and walking obediently in the might and the power of the living God. Putting on the right equipment requires a correct understanding of the present dangers. The right equipment does not remove the danger, but the right equipment allows you to endure. You put on goggles on a racquetball court, you still get hit. And you may even still get hit in your face, and it will still hurt terribly, but you won't lose an eye. Friends, we are in a spiritual battle. And to ignore this truth will lead to foregoing the spiritual resources needed to stand firm in the Lord. I fear many of us are right there. But rightly recognizing the threats leads to employing the right equipment that would allow you to stand firm against the assaults of the evil one. The evil one is bringing the assault. Are you prepared? The Bible encourages us, it commands us, stand firm, endure to the end, but do so by putting on the full armor of God and standing in the mighty power of the living God.